seeing them from the time that they're actually sick and to flourish into a healthy being again, and just seeing the smiles on their face at the end of their recovery, and having SOBA here as a family as well as a place that they came to for help. It is very rewarding.
Today we are talking about addiction. For someone currently in the battle of their life, it can seem as though all hope is lost, but there is hope. And Greg Hannley, Daniel Baldwin, and Eamon OHara with SOBA are here. You are the hope. Thanks for being here.
Thanks
It's always good to see you guys. And I love that you always bring some very inspirational people that usually they work at SOBA, but they have a journey to talk about. And I know, Eamon, you have quite the story. You're currently the Director of Operations for SOBA in Malibu, but it took you a while to get there. You had quite the battle, right?
Oh, yeah,
Can you tell us a little bit about your story?
Yeah, well, it started almost 7 years ago with Daniel and Greg here. The key is that I didn't know I had a problem at the time. You know, my mom had stepped in, wrote Daniel a letter, and said, I don't think that his activities are, you know, something that are going to just fade away with time. You know, and it was totally normal to me. You know, now that I look back, I see that I was just on a path of destruction, but at the time it was totally normal. I didn't notice, you know, any problems. So these guys intervened, and I spent a long time at SOBA. Over a year it took me to really get, you know, back to what I wanted to do with my life, who I wanted to become. And now, through, you know, the help of Greg, I'm becoming this adult that, you know, really wants to just give back like he has helped me. That's the thing about SOBA, is they really believe in you until you believe in yourself.
You are looking at a living miracle. He's underplaying this and underplaying his role, certainly in SOBA's outreach and influence on this young man. The letter opened with, I go to church with your mother and both of your sisters. My son woke up to a face full of windshield on the I-81 and then ran from the car. So, I mean, it was like my bad portion of time. It was really bad. Well, insurance and finances and everything else, you know, taken into consideration, and the cost to go to a place. And I called Greg and I said, this is a friend of my family's, and it's a family that really wants help. And Greg went, don't worry, whatever, we'll figure it out. You know,
That's
so
Greg.
Yeah, that's Greg.
Greg.
You know, so once again, Greg's generosity, and then we showed up in his living room. He comes home from work, and there's camera trucks around because I convinced ABC to do a live intervention.
Wow.
And he walked in, he sees me, and he's like, hey, what's
Did you know at that moment what was happening?
Yes. Yes.
You knew?
Yep, and I saw my brother and sister at the time who were living out of town in the house. And, you know, at that point, in my head, I was saying, I'm just going to leave. And then what it took was these guys sitting down and saying, doesn't look like you have much going on here. Why don't you take a little break? And then it was just a day-by-day thing. And every month, I was ready to go back home because that's what the disease told me. And, you know, sitting with Greg, he kept me there, and now it's home.
This is so interesting. You talk about the intervention, and actually after the break, we're going to talk specifically about intervention, because there are so many people that are watching right now. Maybe they have a loved one that's battling, and they have no idea what to do, and they don't know if an intervention is a good idea or not. And so I want to get your expert opinion on that, and I want to hear your story and what you said to Eamon to get him where he needed to be and to get him into SOBA.
And the thing to take with you on the break is, face full of windshield, wife, children, director of the program, and our guy back.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Better than ever, too.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll do that after the break, gentlemen. So please do not go anywhere. Coming up, we will talk more with Eamon, with Daniel, and with the wonderful Greg Hannley. We'll be right back.
What I do see about SOBA that is a difference, and we were just touching on young people in recovery, is that we have a huge community of young people. And that, in and of itself, is built into the program, that these people have each other. You know, because when we're out there, when we're not sober, we're alone. And we've never fit in, we've never belonged, we've never thought anyone was like us. And then people come to SOBA and it's like, oh, wow, you feel the way I feel, you think the way I think. You were where I was and now you're not, you know? And there's the hope, because that's all you need is a little bit of hope.
And that's true. Sometimes that is all a person is looking for is hope. Hope that they can get better. Hope that there is a better life. And we are back with Eamon OHara with SOBA Recovery, along with SOBA CEO Greg Hannley and the awesome Daniel Baldwin. Hi, guys.
Hey.
So we were just talking about Eamon's story, and he was saying that it took an intervention to get him into treatment, to get him into SOBA, and both of you were at that intervention for Eamon. Tell us what happened, what you had to say, and how you got him there.
Well, I got to say that, I do some interventions, and I do them in a very specific way, but certainly Greg is far more an expert on when it applies, when it doesn't, when it can help. So you should answer this, bro.
Okay, well, Greg, then why did you say let's do an intervention as opposed to just you going to talk to him or just having his family try to sit down and talk to him?
Well, because we happened to be kind of near where he was at. We were filming in Toronto, and Eamon wasn't willing. Like he said, he didn't know that things had gotten as bad to where his mom was afraid he wasn't going to make it.
And his mom had written you a letter.
Yes,
That's how we started earlier.
She saw me on primetime going through and talking about my recovery, and she reached out because she knows through the Lord and church, my family. But I had to go to Greg. I had to call him and say, for guidance on exactly what to do. And I gave him something. He said, and Greg has this way about him where he goes, why don't we get in a room with him and talk to him? Like it's very easy.
Yeah, it's never panic. It's never let's just take care of business.
He's my sponsor too.
Yeah.
And so I'll say to him, I'll go, I don't know, I just don't feel right about it. And he'll go, yeah, usually when it doesn't feel right, it isn't right.
Yeah, it's true.
It's very simple.
The voice of reason.
Yeah.
Here he
so,
is.
So he'll tell you what
So when you walked into the room and you saw these gentlemen there, you said you saw your family, you knew what was up.
Yeah.
You knew what was going on. So what was your first reaction?
Well, my first reaction was, I can't wait to tell these people to go away and storm out, and that will be really cool. And then I sat down, and it wasn't my family reading the letters or, anything but Greg sitting down and saying, why don't we just get away for a minute and let all the dust settle and see where we're at? Because then I could see that I didn't have anything going on for me at that moment.
Okay. So what did you say, Greg?
Well, it started out as kind of a typical reading the letter intervention, and it wasn't going very well. And I sat down with him, and I just said, hey, look around. Look at what's going on in your house. And I said, there's a car outside. It's snowing here. Let's go to the beach. Why don't let's go to the beach and kind of sort this out a little bit, because from what I'm seeing in this house, things aren't going too good for you, and people are worried. You want to go to the beach? And he goes, okay.
Okay,
that's all right. Let's go. Let's go to the beach.
I'll say that, but I'll also say that the coworker, the girlfriend, the this, that, but when your mom sat down with you, you were mine. This is a saint, this woman, the mother, and just sheer love. And when she, and I just watch him go.
You felt the love. He was just
Oh
surrounded
my God, she so
by
loves her
people who just loved you and cared for you so much.
Yeah.
What was it, though, about that intervention and about that moment that made you say, okay, I'll go? What was the moment?
The small belief that maybe that could be a chance to change my life. Yeah. Just for a millisecond, it was there, and
that's all you needed, right? Was that little bit?
I was sick of closing doors.
Yeah.
I'd closed doors for almost 10 years.
And I'll never forget his response. Do you remember his response at the end because I said to him, I knew we had him. And that window, and again, I speak to this, in a sense of, because we've seen a lot of these, so I knew we had him in a good spot. And I remember saying to him, I go, I have to go back to Toronto with Greg and finish this movie. I go, so we're going to take you to California right now. Your family can pack you a bag and you can go, you can worry about all that. I need to know right now whether you're going. I'm holding plane tickets in my hand. We had in his name. which weren't really plane tickets. They were probably 2 pieces of paper,
Well,
but I
he
tried to
didn't
make
know
them-
that.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
And I remember, I'll never forget, he looked at me and went, how can I say no to that?
Yeah.
That's what his response was. How can I say no to that?
And then how many years later, how many years has it been?
Almost 7.
So you went through the SOBA, you went SOBA Malibu,
Mm-hmm.
and how long were you there?
Well, I never really left now that I transitioned into a job, but the program was 1.5 years, and I needed all of that. It took me up to 9, 10 months just to realize that I actually wanted to live this way.
Right.
My mind kept telling me I should go back, I should do things differently, and because I had that structured environment which held me accountable, I made it.
Wow. Well, you are an inspiration. Daniel calls you a miracle. Greg, too. So thank you so much for being here, for sharing your story, Eamon. And after the break, I want to talk with you a little bit more about this, Greg. I want to get your tips when it comes to intervention. When is a good time to do it? Who should be doing it? All of that good stuff that really only you know, because you are the best at what you do.
How killer is that line? Why don't we go to the beach?
I know. Gosh.
How do you say no to that?
You can't. You can't say no to this space. So do not go anywhere. More with SOBA after the break. And we are back with the handsome men of SOBA Recovery, Greg Hannley, Alex Rahici, and Daniel Baldwin. Thank y'all for being here. Alex, you made it.
I did make it.
They got it. You got in just in time. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
I just want that jacket.
It is a great jacket.
It's the coolest jacket.
He's a cool guy.
He is cool.
It's just,
He's
it comes
Bond.
with the territory.
It's because I get married on Saturday.
I know you do. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sure it's going to be a beautiful
And you're
day.
going to go with me as my date.
Daniel. We'll talk about this after
Okay,
the break.
all right.
But no, we were talking to Eamon, and Eamon was telling his story, and the fact that, Daniel, you and Greg, you did an intervention to get him into recovery. It worked. And Daniel was saying you were just the master of just common sense when it comes to speaking to people,
It's
right?
he's the voice of reason.
Yeah.
You know, he really is. He's seen so much, and he has such a plethora of experience that, you know, I asked him last night about a situation, a daughter of a friend, you know, just on life and stuff. He has such a calm way about him. He helps so
does.
many people.
He really does. And I was going to ask you, we were talking earlier about just your tips and your do's and don'ts when it comes to intervention. If we have people watching right now that are thinking maybe this is something they need to do for a loved one, what do they need to keep in mind?
Well, that generally the person either doesn't know how sick they are, or they don't know what to do, and they don't, nobody wants to feel like that. And so if you come at it with anger or judgment, yeah, it's just going to make things worse in the long run. And the main thing is to come at it with love and compassion,
Right.
and just have a conversation with somebody about the fact that you're worried about them, and that there is a way to get help. And I know that we talk about my treatment center a lot on this show, but the main thing is to get them somewhere. You know, there's a lot of places that are around, and there's a lot of people just like me that will talk to you and talk you through it. Come out and sit in. I did an intervention in a garage here.
Really?
Yeah, my first one, the first guy that came to California, and we just went out, and the kid was on meth, and he was in the garage, and he didn't know what to do, and I just sat down with him.
It can be anywhere then, just a comfortable setting.
Yeah, it was where he was at. So you find where they're at, and meet them, and just talk. So as I had a conversation with this kid, he kept moving closer, and it was like, and I realized, like Daniel said, that he was just alone, and he didn't know how to talk to anybody about what he was feeling. And I just said, look, there's a solution. I felt like that. I know that you don't want to live like this, and you can come with me. And so we went on an airplane to, he just left. I tried to get him to come on the show. He was here in San Antonio.
Maybe we can get him
9 days.
next time.
Yeah, he's got 16 months.
Good for him.
He's getting ready to actually work at one of the other treatment centers. And
You got to fly back with somebody from San Antonio, too.
yeah, I asked him
From
to
here,
take
so
a kid
somebody
back.
from San Antonio
Perfect.
flew out with him, and we're hoping that he's going to sponsor him by the time.
That's
By the time they landed, we were hoping to be a sponsor.
I
Yeah.
love that about SOBA, though. It's this sense of family, and Daniel talks about, and all of you talk about the fact that you're never alone when you're at SOBA, even years after you've been through the program.
But the two, in circling the wagons right now, so that people out there understand the theory and what I've learned from Greg about this particular subject and sobriety, family, and recovery. It starts with a conversation, with communication. It doesn't have to be a bunch of people and your boss and your wife.
That's what I was going to ask you. Who should be there?
No, it varies, but in some way, shape, or form, it starts with that communication about what's going on. We're concerned about you. And the second thing is, it's not a threatening. It's not a. It's about a love thing.
Sure.
It's
Because
about.
it truly is.
Well, you know, it really has to be, and that's what you get. You know, when you approach it from a place of love. People's guard drops, and they're more willing to talk to you, and they do end up moving closer and closer as you're doing that.
Got it. I want to talk just a bit just about SOBA and what makes you so different. I know that there's no time frame. So many programs, it's 28 days and then they send you home, right, Alex? But SOBA, you're different.
It's really individual. So it is a long-term treatment plan. So, you know, people hear that I have to go to rehab, and they think, first thing they think is 30 days, and it's quite the opposite with us. It starts the detox, residential, but the aftercare, which includes housing, like the sober living with us, is where residents get to see the same therapist, the same doctor, same residents around them, staff members.
Surrounded by that community.
And they get to stay up to a year, sometimes even longer.
A year. 'Cause you really need that sometimes.
Absolutely.
At SOBA, there's no estimate.
Yeah.
We don't have you come in and go, we think based on what you're telling us, this is what's wrong with your car, so we're going to get it done for this amount of money in this amount of time.
Right.
No, you come in and we know there's something wrong.
Well, and some of the people who have kids or families that came through that weren't able to stay and live there are coming to outpatient. So they can, we'll make the program to tailor based on somebody's lives and what they can do. I was out at SOBA Texas the other day and met 3 people that I have known since they got there that all haven't lived there for multiple months, and they're just coming out to stay connected, and they're doing well.
Well, what's so great is there is a SOBA Texas, okay, and for people living here, there is help right here in San Antonio, and we're going to talk more about that, and also what people can do today if they think they need help or they have a loved one who they really would like to see them get some help. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after the break. And we are back with SOBA Recovery, Greg Hannley, Alex Rahici, and Daniel Baldwin. Thanks for being here, guys. I know we're almost out of time, but if there's someone watching today, they feel like they need help, they're battling an addiction, they have someone they love, they're worried about, what can they do today, right now?
It starts with a phone call. So know that you're not obligated to anything. You don't. If you're calling, that doesn't mean you have to check in. A lot of people just sometimes need information or need to be educated on what it looks like to get help and what the process
And this
is.
can be anyone, a parent that's worried, maybe a teenager that thinks, I'm getting into some bad stuff.
Absolutely, and if we're not right for somebody, there's a lot of resources. I mean, we don't treat adolescents, so there's some great adolescent places that we work closely with. So whether they're coming to us or they're just looking for help, we're here to help everybody.
Can they call you anytime, Alex?
Anytime. That phone is 24/7.
And you can give them the direction and let them know exactly what they need to do at that point.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. And SOBA Texas, we're so glad that it's here and people have that option now. And it's always good to see you. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us. There's the phone number. SOBA Texas is open. And if you need to give them a call, you can do that today or 24/7. Have a wonderful day, everyone. We will see you tomorrow. Thanks, guys.
Nice job, Cross.